Now, we are going to see about the second big mass movement of Gandhi, the civil disobedience movement. Let's go into the details of this mass movement. Actually, you learn from your previous mistakes, and when the non-cooperation movement came to a halt, Gandhi started with this mass movement. On 31st January 1930, Gandhi wrote a letter to Lord Irwin, the Viceroy then, demanding that 11 of his demands should immediately be met with. And the biggest demand that he had put forth was abolition of salt tax. Gandhi wanted to make salt as a symbol of his next mass movement. He gave an ultimatum to the Viceroy that if his demands were not fulfilled by 11th March 1930, then he would start with the civil disobedience movement. Lord Irwin was not ready to agree to any of the demands, and therefore Gandhi started with this movement by a famous march that is called as the Dandi March. He, along with his 78 followers, marched from Sabarmati to Dandi, which was almost 240 miles on foot, and wherever he went, the people flocked him and they all tried to learn from him the meaning of the word Swaraj and the use of non-violence to achieve it. On 6th April 1930, Gandhi reached Dandi, and this was the beginning of the civil disobedience movement, because he manufactured salt there and it was against the laws of the British government. That is, no Indian was allowed to manufacture salt. But Gandhi felt that it was such a basic ingredient that everybody should have the right to manufacture salt. So, this marked the beginning of a bigger mass movement achieving independence. He told the people to disobey the British government as far as possible, not to pay taxes, not to obey them, not to actually do things which the British government wanted the Indians to do. This was all meant for disobeying the government to achieve independence in a peaceful manner, telling the British government that they must leave India because now the people were not ready to obey them. Following this example, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, who is called as Frontier Gandhi, also started with this kind of movement. But he was arrested in April 1930, and Mahatma Gandhi himself was arrested along with other big leaders, because the British government had realized that now the Indian movement had become very strong and it was not easy to crush it. Therefore, the leaders first of all were imprisoned so that the heads, once they were missing, the people might go haywire. The government also resorted to other measures, like they started attacking the peaceful satyagrahis, and you know the meaning of satyagrahi. When all such things were going on, that is, the movement had reached its peak, everybody was disobeying and demonstrating in the best possible manner and trying to teach a lesson to the British government that they have to leave India at all cost. Sadly for India, Gandhi called off the movement. So, the civil disobedience movement was called off because Gandhi had entered into a pact with Lord Irwin. So, the Gandhi-Irwin Pact led to the call-off of the civil disobedience movement, making the people of India disheartened and unhappy. By this pact, Gandhi decided to go to London to attend the Round Table Conference. And he had a lot of hopes that if he attends this Round Table Conference, he is going to probably get independence from Britain. He is going to put up that proposal and it would be accepted. But all his demands were dashed to the ground. All his hopes were dashed to the ground because he came back empty-handed. When he came to India, he tried to once again revive the civil disobedience movement. He relaunched the movement. But you see, the people had lost that faith, that vigor which they had showed in the movement, and suddenly it was pulled off, did not give them the required courage and enthusiasm to start off the movement on the same wavelength. So, the suspension of the movement of Gandhi led to a major setback in the nationalist movement of India. I continue with it in the next clipping.